1,142 days. That is, at the time that we have published this, exactly how long Harry and Meghan and the world's only two royal refugees have spent in the US. And during that period of time, there have been over 100 games that have been played by their local basketball team, the LA Lakers. So that's why it's especially strange that the first time the two of them decide to head out for a cutesy, patriotic evening of classic Americana courtside just so happened to be this week. And the reason that we say this is quite strange and probably not coincidental is that it is almost at exactly the same time that Prince William was going to the dawn service back in London to mark Anzac Day, right as the countdown to the coronation is almost coming to an end, and it's right at the same time that their popularity, their brand, and their star power is almost zero. It happened on Monday night LA time, just as William was waking up in the very early morning hours of Tuesday and trying to find his most somber suit while still in the dark. Meghan and Harry were making an appearance that was completely out of character to watch the LA Lakers play another team that honestly I didn't even want to Google because I already forgot who it was. I kind of doubt that Meghan and Harry even cared so much about who was actually playing the game, because I think now it is safe to say that we have reached the stunt stage of Meghan and Harry's stateside campaign. They're like a couple of members of the Real Housewives cast who are wanting to show off their celebrity credentials. Here we saw the King of England's son and daughter-in-law indulging in one of the most classic LA attention-seeking plays. Getting attention from the media by going to an LA Lakers game is so obvious, I kind of assumed that it had gone out of fashion. What on earth has happened with Harry? Why does his life now look like that of some kind of Vanderpump Rules star instead of the man who once promised to uphold the values of the late Queen? These two sets of images that were taken only hours apart really highlight how divergent Harry's life is from his older brother William's. Basically, with Harry, we see some kind of Kardashian vanity outing, and then with William, we see somber, serious duty. Actually, Kim Kardashian and her daughter and her mom Kris Jenner were also at that Lakers game. I wonder if they said hi. So in the image, we saw Meghan and Harry giggling and laughing with Meghan wearing some linen and Harry trying to look like a cool dad wearing his t-shirt under a suit. Goodness, I sure do hope that Harry doesn't continue with this trend. I think the next step would be him getting hair plugs and driving a Porsche. So, did the entire outing feel natural? Well, absolutely not. It was about as natural as a reality TV show. We also need to consider the fact that this was not some local fun evening. Instead, it necessitated a 4-hour round-trip drive from their Montecito home. Meanwhile, William was back in London watching the sun rise as he laid an arrangement to make Anzac Day with a card reading, in memory of those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. Or, to put it a different way, one man was sacrificing some sleep to pay his respects, and the other person was sacrificing what little dignity he had left. It's also interesting that this is hardly the first time that Meghan and Harry have headed out for a very obvious night out while some big things were happening in the UK. Back in late February, they made another long car ride from their home to LA to have dinner at an A-list place called the San Vicente Bungalows on the very day the news came out that the King was ejecting them from their UK home, Frogmore Cottage. Okay, so even if we assume that the timing of Meghan and Harry's little trip with William's Anzac engagement was just an accident, just a coincidence, the fact that Meghan and Harry, and especially Meghan, have made a return to the limelight so close to the coronation of King Charles is a whole different story. Because for months now, Meghan has been laying low, but now she is back with a vengeance. Over the weekend, The Telegraph broke the news that Charles and Meghan had written to each other after the Sussex's Oprah Winfrey interview, and that Meghan had talked about her racism concerns to the King. Now, it seems like this story came from some source with unusually intimate access to Meghan, but before anyone could blame anybody, their global press secretary released a statement. I mean, seriously, global press secretary? But anyway, on Monday, we saw a very glossy-looking Meghan appearing in a video at a TED Talk to introduce photographer Misan Harriman, who has taken a number of official photos of the Sussex family. And then we got to see her and Harry canoodling at that Lakers game, which was a strangely public and exposed choice of outing for a couple of people who have a famously antagonistic relationship with the tabloid press and photographers. And also, let's not forget, they want privacy. So might the fact that Meghan has crawled out of whatever rock she was hiding under have anything at all to do with the fact that back in the UK, the King and Camilla are busy practicing not falling over while they're wearing those crowns ahead of the coronation? And that, remember, is an event that Meghan will not be attending. What is going to be interesting to watch is that now that Meghan has come back to the spotlight, are we finally going to get to see whatever she was working on? Is it a new TV show? Was it a podcast series? Or considering that now she seems to be trying to be like the Kardashian-Jenner clan, is she going to be putting out a new lip kit maybe? And exactly how much will all of this manage to detract from what's happening in England? To borrow a phrase from Sherlock Holmes, the game is afoot. Unfortunately, though, Meghan has completely worn out her welcome in the UK. She didn't want the invisible kids to be around the family, and now she wants them right next to the king. Meghan is a terrible person. She denied the late Queen and the late Prince Philip the right to see those kids. Well, Meghan, it's too late now. Anybody that is living in the royal family is simply not interested in those invisible kids at this point. So Meghan, feel free to stay home in Montecito with your invisible children. There is simply no place for you in the UK, and if you dare to show your face, you will be booed. I'm guessing you wouldn't like that because it's going to show how unpopular and unwanted you really are there. But you've got no one to blame except yourself. After all, it's what you wanted, right? Meghan and Harry have only ever cared about filling their wallets with money. Well, the Queen did not have any money to give her, and she saw right through her from the very beginning. And as for wanting the Invisikids to get closer to the King, how exactly does she believe that can be achieved? They live in the US, if they're alive at all, if they really are real, and the King is in the UK. Meghan is unwelcome in the UK, and the King is way too busy to be running over to California to go visit some children who may not even be real. Now, if they exist, maybe they are his grandchildren, but Archofficial is 4 years old, and there has never been any relationship between the king and him. And then Invisibed, well, she's never even been to the UK as far as we know. I don't think she's ever even met her grandfather. They truly have missed the boat. If they really wanted to enjoy a relationship with the king, they would have never left the UK. They would never have told so many nasty lies. And they would never have done that stupid documentary, and Meghan certainly would have never written a book filled with lies about the family. Meghan never would have bullied staff or a child who was a member of the family. This is all about them trying to get more money for themselves. More BS woke victim garbage from Meghan. Oh, poor pitiful me, I didn't do anything wrong. I just told the truth, and that's why nobody likes me. Everybody despises me. Well, honey, you're right about that. People do despise you. So maybe you should just go and mind your own business, whatever that is.